idea first came to us about 3 years ago, and I had been, at that point, I had been a stay-at-home mom for maybe 6, 7, 8 years.
So once we sort of identified the problem, our immediate sort of question was, okay, how would we solve this problem? So one of the things we did was we went to dollar stores and whatnot within our toolbox and old toys, and we jerry-rigged a product, well, a prototype that we put in our car. And we just never said anything to the kids. And the next time we got in, subsequently after that we got in, they were able to very easily. So, well, this kind of works. Okay? We put together a preliminary business plan. Didn't have everything on it. We had, our expectation was kind of like this, but over time the reality was more like this. But now we are sort of better positioned to grow. But the business plan ultimately, is guiding tool, but it kind of evolves.
Like when you're developing a product, before you're selling it, there's a long lead time, but you want to figure out who's interested in it. You want to get people interested in it, and you need to find someone to manufacture it. Our manufacturers from my hometown of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we found them because they live next door to my mom. Sometimes that's the way things work out. And for us, it was important to be made in the USA, which is good. And it's nice to have a product that, if it's manufactured stateside and there's any trouble we had trouble with our packaging, we went to new packaging, you can get to your manufacturer and solve the problem. You don't have to get on a plane to China, or hire someone to do that for you. So the whole process was, we came up with the idea, we found the plastics manufacturer. Anurag designed the product using CAD freeware, which is, it's a free computer design program.
Google Sketch.
Okay, Google Sketch. And our plastics manufacturer helped us build all these different prototypes using 3D printers. They gave us some alternative design ideas. We ended up with Anurag's design. Then we got to the point where we came up with a design that looked really good, but this was 3 years ago, and 3D printing technology has changed a lot. So the product that we were getting out of the 3D printer was breaking. So every time we have like a $1,200 prototype, we hand it to someone, and they'd look at it and they'd pull it apart and it would break. And I would say, oh great, you can't keep printing those. Anyway, so our manufacturer told us, once we got a design that we really felt comfortable with, but it wasn't sturdy enough, they said, look, you just got to bite the bullet, go to tooling, because once you go to tooling, the product's going to come out and it's going to be really high quality. That's what we did, and at that point we needed some money. And we strongest and most durable, and most manufacturers, our plastics manufacturer manufactures for lots of different kinds of companies and products, and they usually know. Like they have enough in-house knowledge about what's going to work. And when they told us you got to go to tooling to get a strong enough, durable enough product, we just had to. And they said, look, we're 99% sure if you go to tooling, it's actually going to work long term. They were right, But there is a level of faith.
So things have become a lot more economical in terms of taking an idea, a concept, to at least a prototype, but ultimately you gotta bite the bullet. Right?
So we spent months putting together our video, all our product, but it was great because we figured out how to communicate the product's benefits, all of that. Kickstarter said no, and we thought, well, that's it. Kickstarter says no. Everyone's no one's gonna want to buy it. So we cut and paste everything from our Kickstarter campaign into Indiegogo. And within 48 hours, we launched our crowdfunding, our campaign on Indiegogo, and we did okay, but we only hit 10% of our target. We wanted to raise $10,000. We raised about $1,100, but that $1,100 was enough for us to produce a trial production run, and we did that, and we sent off samples or sets to everyone who sponsored us in Indiegogo. And then we also took it to some local stores and started building up, like very small customers, but enough that we got it out there. We started selling it on Amazon. Sometimes we only get 2 orders a month. And we signed up to go to a big trade show. By the time we launched the product and we were ready to order our first full production run, which is a substantial investment for us, Anurag came home with the news that he was being laid off. So we were about to, write this big check and get this product, and we thought, oh, no, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? In the end, we're glad that we went forward with it, because there's nothing that motivates you more sometimes than, the need to, this is real, so we really have to sell this product, and we really have to make it work so we can pay our mortgage and, and support our kids.
And for property. So somebody from that company did search for us. So this was a really good sign that we found, was that there were a lot of patent around it. There were a couple of people who tried to solve the problem, but for some reason the product never really came to market. Or in many other cases, the patents were abandoned before it was granted. So those were all good signs.
And our patent, we're actually getting our patent after 3 years, and a lot of waiting and a lot of money. We're getting our patent on June 2nd, and it wasn't until maybe 2 months ago that I finally realized what getting a patent means. Our patent has nothing whatsoever to do with the overall function. It's not a patent for a seatbelt buckle holder. It's a patent for a lock, like a pin and locking device that has 2 symmetrical parts. That's what our patent is for. So anybody can come and hopefully not any of you, but anybody can come and create a seatbelt buckle holder that looks completely different than ours, and we only have patent protection if it infringes on the actual design. Our total patent cost probably totaled $10,000. But we did it, if we were to do it over again, we might do it differently. We came up with the idea, we were simultaneously coming up with our design, and we filed a utility patent right off the bat. But a lot of people we've met who design products file a provisional patent, and in order to do that, oftentimes you don't need an attorney. You can get a lot of information right off the internet, and it costs about $500. And the provisional patent gives you patent protection for a year, and then you can just renew that. But in order for us to sell it, once we started selling the product, our first big customer, who's currently our largest customer, Zulily. I don't know if you're familiar with Zulily. It's a flash site. So anyway, we're running on Zulily today, in fact. But in order for us to get accepted to sell in Zulily, we needed to have liability insurance at a certain level, and depending on how large the retailer is, we need to carry $2 million in product liability insurance, which it's not very expensive actually to do that. If you sell at a store like a Walmart, then you need to have like a $5 million aggregate policy, and that can, if you start selling in large volumes, that can actually get kind of expensive. But for the safety, we fall into this weird category. Any product that is marketed to a child needs to have like a consumer CPSC, Consumer Product Safety Commission, needs to have their endorsement, and you have to go through some tests, not crash tests though. Because our product is primarily used in automobiles, it actually falls under NHTSA's jurisdiction, which is the National Transportation Safety Administration, and they don't have any like certification requirements. All NHTSA really requires is that if you have a product that falls under their jurisdiction, if there is any problem whatsoever with that product's functionality, or if someone is in a crash and the product has something to do with that, then you have to recall that product instantly. So there wasn't anything that we had to do in order to sell it. So when we went to Zulily, for instance, and they said you need CPSC certification, we spent like a month trying to talk to the CPSC, trying to talk to NHTSA, and having them talk to each other so that they both would write a letter, essentially saying they're good to go. There's no certification required. But those are important things to think about, because you don't want to get down a road in a product development to find out after you've spent a lot of money and time that you can't sell the product.